Dear students, Assalamu alaikum. I hope that you are feeling well. There is a famous quotation that be honest without the thought of heaven and hell means that a man should be virtuous, he should be means modest, he should have many qualities without the fear of heaven and hell. One should be rather virtuous for the sake of virtue, not for the sake of getting any reward or award. So today we are going to start a very famous poem which is written by Stephen Crane. And the theme of this poem is just like the same quotation which I explain in front of you now. So before going to start this famous poem, The Blades of Grass, in detail, let me tell you about the objectives that we are supposed to attain at the completion of this lesson. First of all, we should know about the theme of the same poem, main idea, summary, paraphrase, explanation, MCQs and short questions. Now you see, we have some terms like title. Now what is title? Remember, title is the most concise form of any text. In title you should know that we should write the first word of the same title. It should be started with capital letter. Then we have blades. Blades is noun, so that also starts with the capital B. Then we have of. Of is preposition, and here the preposition starts with the small letter O. And then we have grass. Once again we have noun, so that starts with G, which is capital. Remember, when we are writing a title of any lesson or poem, we should have in mind that in title, first of all, it should be in brief form. It should summarize all the text, means what the text is related to. So we should have in our mind that the lesson or the poem is about a specific idea. So means the title should convey that specific idea about which that poem or that text, that lesson has been written. So now grammatically, in the title, preposition and article should start with the small letters. If it is in the middle, not in the beginning, so it should be started with the small letters. So this is title. The blades of grass. D started with the capital. B, blades, which is a noun, that is started with B, which is capital. Now you see, D is article. If it comes in the middle of the title, so that would be started with a small letter. Remember. Then we have of. So of is a preposition. As I told you earlier, that preposition and article start with what? With small letters, if it comes in the middle of the title. So then we have grass. Once again, that is noun, so it starts with the capital. So for writing title, you should have in mind that all parts of speech will be written, means the first letter of all parts of speech will be started with capital, except preposition and article that would be written in small letters. Okay, then we have theme. Now you see, what is theme? Theme refers to moral idea of any lesson or poem. Now you see, for example, we have Thirsty Crow, we have The Hare and Tortoise. These are different stories. And basically, when we going to narrate a story, so that refers to text. And in the end, what we call moral. So that moral refers to theme or moral lesson. We have nothing to do whether Thirsty Crow is drinking water or not. We are concerned with the moral lesson at the end, that is, greed is a curse. Now we have Hare and Tortoise, that is a story. And we have a moral lesson that proud heta fall. Proud heta fall in gurur kasar nicha, nature. So this is what we call moral lesson or theme. So theme refers to moral lesson, main idea, what the lesson is about. So the poem is about what blades of grass which are standing in front of God in heaven, and they are going to answer God's question. So that is why we call it a main idea, what the lesson is about. Then we have, once again, we have summary. Summary refers to short, brief form, concise form, to put the whole thing in a nutshell. So summary has a specific standard. It is written about it is based upon some specific standards or rules and regulations. Summary should be one third of the original text. It should be one third. For example, if the poem or any text is of 10 lines, so it should be written of 3 or 4 lines. So summary is a short form, and it is in indirect form, indirect speech. Remember, that is in indirect speech. Clear? Now we have the next paraphrase. When we say paraphrase, means simple words. That metrical form, poetic form, should be converted into prose form. Secondly, it should be equal to the original lines or a bit longer than original lines. It should be in the person of the original text. I mean to say, if there is used first form of verb I, so that paraphrase should be written in I. If there is written we, that should be written in we. If the poem or the original text in he, she means third person pronoun, so your paraphrase should also be written in third person pronoun. If that is in second person pronoun you, then paraphrase should be written in you. So paraphrase, simple words written in the original person of the text and equal to the original lines, original text, or a bit longer than original text. Then we have explanation. Explanation means has no limits. It should be in indirect form. If the text or the poem is in I or in we, it should be changed into he or she. Means that first person of the original text should be converted into third person. And explanation has no limits. It might be extended to means pages. You might have heard about that. Even on one verse of Quran there are written books. There are written books on one verse of Quran. So that is explanation. So explanation has no limits. That could be extended up to many books even. Understand? Then we have stanza. Now you see stanza. Stanza is basically a collection of metrical or poetic lines about a specific idea. Understand? Paragraph is something which is written in prose, and that is combination or collection of prose lines or sentences on a single topic. Here stanza is a collection of metrical or poetic lines on specific idea. So that is stanza. Stanza having different types of stanza, we will discuss in detail later on. Now let me tell you something about the poet Stephen Crane, who has written this poem. Stephen Crane was an American poet, and he was a novelist, a poet, and a short story writer. He was considered to be one of the greatest innovative writer of his age, of his era. He was very famous in America, and he was an innovative, or what we call creative writer. Now let me tell you something about the poem. This poem, the structure of the poem is a bit complicated one. There are 2 stanzas, but those 2 stanzas are quite different. So far their lines are concerned. Means they are not rhymed, they are not alternative stanza or alternative rhymed. And apart from that, one line is shorter one, the second is a longer one. So there is means the lines are something random. They are not rhymed. They are just like blank words. And a kind of stanza having irregular lines, we call it strophe. Strophe means irregular lines of stanza, any stanza having irregular lines, we call it strophe. Sometimes we call it blank verse. In Urdu we call it azad nazm. Azad nazm. So these both stanza are strophes. Next we have, means this poem is basically a fiction. Fiction that is not based on reality. It is something fabricated. It is something with, so any fabricated story is supposed to be or is called fiction. Next we have fable. This line is basically a fable. Now what is fable? Fable, any short story having moral lesson. Mostly the characters are animals or non-living things. So we have, this is a fable. This story is basically a fable. Clear? Because it has a moral lesson, it is a short story, it has characters, and the characters are basically non-living things or animals with means with human attributes, with human qualities. So we call it a fable. Next we have short story with few characters. Now you see, what is fable? It is a short story with few characters. Then characters are animals or non-living things with human attributes. Attributes means qualities. Then we have setting may be anywhere. Now you see, the setting of a fable might be anywhere. Now you see, in this lesson or in this poem, the setting is in paradise, is in heaven, because God asks the blades of grass about their qualities, their deeds in the world. So the setting, this means the environment is there in heaven or in paradise. Then we have setting may be anywhere, moral lesson taught or stated sometime at the end. Now you see, we can get a moral lesson from the same point, blades of grass. A moral lesson is there. So we infer a lesson from the same poem. Sometimes the same lesson might be stated at the end. And then we have religious importance. Now you see, this poem is of great religious importance. We are taught that we should be virtuous, we should be good, without the fear or without the thought of hell and heaven. Rather, we should be good for the sake of goodness. We should have humility. In short, we should have humility. We should be human beings in the real sense. Clear? The next, now let's take a start from the very beginning. And the text is there. You should open your books at page 32 and let's take a start. The Blades of Grass, written by Stephen Crane. In heaven means in paradise, Jannat. Some little blades of grass. Now you see, some little blades of grass are being described as they are human beings. As they are human beings. So we have another means characteristic of this poem is personification. Personification. What is personification? Personification, the word personification is derived from person. When you are addressing, you are describing non-living things like blades of grass or anything, non-living things or non-human elements as they are human beings, as they are persons. Now the blades of grass are being described as they are persons. So we call it personification. Personification is basically a figure of speech, like simile, metaphor, oxymoron, antithesis. So this personification is also one of a figure of speech. In heaven, some little blades of grass stood before God. Means in paradise, there were some blades of grass. Do you know, blades means a thin, sharp element. Sharp thing, a thin, sharp thing, blades. Patri, we call it patri in Urdu. They were standing in front of God in paradise. What did you do? Then God asked the blades of grass that what they had done or they have done in their lives, in the world. Then all save one of the little blades. Then all save means except. Then all blades of grass except one blade of grass began eagerly. Now you see what is eagerly? Eagerly means anxiously, becheni se, betabi se. Eagerly to relate. Relate means describe. Relate means sunana, describe. Impatiently. Impatiently, once again, impatiently means avidly, becheni se, betabi se. Eagerly, impatiently having the same meaning. Eagerly to relate, impatiently narrate. Narrate means relate, describe. The merits of their lives. Merits means qualities. Merit means qualities of their lives. Means that blades of grass were standing in front of God. God asked them that what they had done in their lives. So all blades of grass started impatiently, eagerly the story of their qualities, their merits. They started means they related the story, or they started about their qualities, their good deeds in their lives. Impatiently narrate the merits of their lives. I say merit the qualities of their lives. This one stayed a small way behind. Now one blade of grass, which was a small blade of grass, he was standing on the back in the last of all blade of grass, and he was ashamed. He was ashamed means guilty. He was embarrassed. Usharminda the. Presently God said, "And what did you do?" The little blade of grass answered, "Oh my Lord, memory is better to me." Now God asked the blade of grass, which was standing at the end behind all the blades of grass. He asked, and what he did in his life. So he answered, "Oh my Lord, memory is bitter to me." The small blade of grass answered that he did not know. There is nothing in his memory, in his mind. What he did, he had forgotten. He did not know, he did not remember whatever he had done in his life. That was the answer of the small blade of grass to God. For if I did good deeds means actions, I know not of them. He told God, he said to God that he did not know, he did not remember anything that he had done in his life. He has forgotten everything. Then God in all his splendor, splendor, magnificent, shan, rutba, grandeur, glory. Grandeur means glory, and brilliance means majesty. Means, then God in all his splendor, grandeur, brilliance arose from his throne. Throne, the seat of a sovereign. Means takht. "Oh, best little blade of grass," he said. When God listened to the answer of the small blade of grass, so he became very happy, and he said while standing that he is the best blade of grass among all those blades of grass. So it means that the last sentence, the last line, "Oh, best little of grass," that is the main idea of the lesson, that God liked those people who never bragged, who are never boastful or conceitful about their actions in life. He should be a man should be very humble. When he did any good deeds, he should not repeat, he should not be boastful, or he should not show off about his good deeds. He should be very humble. Thank you, and have a nice day ahead.